Welcome to this week's edition of Rocky's 2-Minute Warning. As we're heading into week 2 here, it was a very exciting first week. Some teams disappointed, others stood on their head, and Peyton Manning certainly showed some things that people were looking for. Andrew Luck probably didn't, and RG3, who knows where things are going to go. But let's just get right into our picks for this week. Jeremy, who do you have?
I'm going to take, this is a tough one, but I'm going to take New England at home against Arizona. Kidding when I say it's a tough one. Skelton went down for the Cardinals. Cobb came in, threw like a last-minute touchdown, but you know they're not playing. They weren't playing New England, so I expect New England will probably walk all over them. New England all of a sudden looks like they have a great running game, and all of a sudden they have a defense, so they're going to be scary this year, especially if they get that running game going.
New England with the defense, that should be scary to the others in the AFC.
You can mark them right into the AFC Championship. Tampa Bay at the Giants. Tampa Bay pulled out a victory against the Panthers, but they only scored 16 points. You got to think Pierre-Paul and Tuck are just going to be biting at the bit to get at Freeman. They didn't, I guess the Cowboys played quite well against them, but they're not going to lose 2 in a row at home. So I expect they're going to take Tampa Bay quite easily. Tennessee at San Diego. San Diego went into a very hostile Oakland environment and looked pretty good. Didn't score a lot of touchdowns, had a few field goals, but if they could win there, I don't think Tennessee's going to come in there and beat them. Chris Johnson ran for 20 yards, so they don't have the running game going in Tennessee yet. Pretty tough way to start the season, playing New England and then San Diego right after that.
So how weak is Tennessee?
Well, if they don't get the running game going, they're not going to win a game, but I assume at some point they'll get it figured out. Who are your picks?
Houston over Jacksonville. Houston, of course, had Arian Foster as pretty much the consensus #1 running back in the league for people playing fantasy. I don't think he was very happy with his 79-yard performance in week 1, although he did have 2 touchdowns. He put Matt Schaub in there, and Jacksonville just doesn't have the weapons to go up against the Texans. In fact, I think the Texans could go all the way to the AFC Championship game this year. Then our Cowboys, man, did they impress last week, opening on the road in New York, taking on the Super Bowl champions and beating them, I'd say, almost quite easily. They're playing Seattle, so they go from the high-profile New York game to pretty much the area where nobody watches football and nobody cares. The Seahawks just don't have a whole lot to throw at them. I mean, Tony Romo, Des Bryant, and Miles Austin, and then you add Kevin Ogletree in. I just think Dallas is looking pretty good here, but we don't want to put too much on.
Please don't
just one after just 1 week. Then I'm going to stick with the 49ers because, man, did they look great taking on the boys in Green Bay last week. A lot of people were surprised by that matchup. Now they're taking on Detroit, and Detroit looked horrible in their opening week victory. But quarterback Matt Stafford just wasn't getting it done, and he's going to have to play a lot stronger. Megatron's going to have the game of his life if they're going to take on the defense of San Francisco, the offense, the coaching, the clock management. It's an all-round team with the 49ers. So, what did we learn after week 1?
Well, San Francisco obviously looks like they're going to be a big contender again. I guess my only question about them is, can they get their offense going? I mean, they signed some older gents that look decent in the game, but I didn't think their offense looked overly impressive.
I think you look fine, Mr. Moss.
I don't think after week 1 you can take too much into it, and I'll give you a great example. It's the Green Bay game last night. I mean, Green Bay looked pretty slack against San Francisco, even given their defense. Once they got their offense, even the first half last night, I mean, they didn't look great. Once they got their offense going, and I think it takes a couple of weeks to get some of these offenses going, so I think they might be a contender. And I think the same thing with Detroit. They looked terrible the first week. They could win San Francisco and look decent against that team. They're not going to beat them. So I think you can't glean too much from it. The Broncos obviously are going to be stronger than I thought they were. I didn't think Manning was going to walk into that offense and look like that. But I expect they're going to stumble a little bit this second week. I think the big thing's the Pats. I think you mark them right into the AFC Championship game right now. I mean, they're in there anyway with the half-ass defense, and they also have a good defense and looks like a strong running game. So Brady could be scary this year.
You're really down on the AFC anyways, but I think you're probably right that New England's looking a bit unstoppable at this point in time as they cruise the AFC Championship. I think Dallas just really impressed me last week. You got to think that Kevin Ogletree's kind of feeling like Paris Hilton this week, as he was the most picked up player on the fantasy waiver draft. RG3, I mean, coming up big. So who are we going to pick? We're going to take Andrew Luck, we're going to take RG3. Well, Washington got second pick, so they didn't have to think about it. They got him, and man, what a performance he put on there. Andrew Luck had a really shaky start for the Colts, but I just got to believe that he's got enough talent that that's going to come along, and it's still the Indianapolis team of last year that was just so god awful. I mean, it doesn't get changed overnight, so I guess we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I think RG3 definitely walked into a better environment than Luck. Certainly have more weapons.
No doubt about that. Our head-to-head matchup this week is Atlanta Falcons versus the Denver Broncos, and you have Atlanta. Why?
They look very convincing over Kansas City. Once again, in a very hostile environment. Ryan threw 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They put 40-some points up on the board. My only concern, I guess, is Grimes went down. They've got 3 amazing cornerbacks, and he's one of them. They still win 2. I think this is going to be a shootout, and I think at the end of the day, Atlanta at home on turf, they very rarely lose at home.
Atlanta does have home field advantage, there's no doubt, but I'll tell you, Peyton Manning last week looked like a guy who certainly didn't miss a whole season, going 19 for 26, a couple of touchdown passes, and certainly wasn't up against a weak team. Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, they looked really good. Now, the underrated guy of the game to me was Jacob Tamme. Of course, he spent 4 years in Indianapolis with Peyton. They know each other really well. Only put up 46 yards, but he was really the go-to guy when there was any sort of rush, and Peyton was feeling pressured. So 5 receptions there at the tight end position. I think that's going to be a good fit that we'll continue to watch throughout the season.
I think Peyton just needs 1 or 2 more big weapons. I think they need a big-name receiver. I don't think they have that right now. So I'm just wondering in a shootout game like this whether he can put up enough points with the kind of the guys he's got right now.
Well, one thing about Matt Ryan is he certainly looked great last week, but they were only playing the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to say if you're a betting person, the Falcons are favored by 3 points, just take straight up. Go with the Broncos. Peyton Manning is going to keep riding this wave. Remember to log on to either our Facebook page or to Rocky Sports Bar on Twitter, and you can vote for Jeremy and the Falcons or for Bill and the Broncos. And if you are one of the ones that side with the right pick, we will be doing a draw for a $25 gift card of Rockies, which actually we're going to do right now because of last week's game.
I guess some people owe you a little bit of gratitude for picking the right team last week, and I probably have a lot of people mad at me.
A lot of people sided with you. Very few sided with me, but we're going to take those people that did right now and we're going to draw for a gift card. And Jimmy Lynch, $25 gift card. Drop on into Rockies and we'll have that for you. Don't forget the Sea Dogs are playing this Sunday, and it's going to be quite a matchup for the late night game on Sunday for football and for Monday football, and it will be here on the big screen. That's it for this week's edition of Rocky's 2-Minute Warning.